No, I did not wear the onesie. I was talked out of it. I really wanted to. Were you aware of that bit from last time?
I heard about it.
I threatened a Christmas onesie. Adam, say hey. This is on the horn.
Hey, what's up?
I threatened a Christmas onesie for this one because we obviously wanted to go with festive attire. Everyone wears like the awesome, like that's a fantastic sweater, and he's got the green and the red socks and everything, and everyone wears their Christmas. But this works, I think. Did I like the
I think so.
professional festive, right, with the green undershirt? It's not exactly the right shade.
I'll back you on this.
Thank you. I appreciate that, my friend. VCU 100, Rider 79, Rams to 9-4. The Ahmad Noel game. That's got to be the headline. That's what I led with. 19 points, 7 of 8 from the floor, 5 of 5 from 3. Team high 22 over plus minus for the transfer from UConn. And look, I voted Ahmad Noel to the all-conference team to begin the year. And it's so hard when you're doing preseason all-conference votes these days when you have so many guys moving around in the transfer portal. You don't know what rotations are going to look like. Phil Martelli talked about that before the season. It was hard to figure out what this backcourt rotation was going to look like. I thought Ahmad was going to be the guy out of the 4, right? Terrence Hill, Brandon Jennings, Nick Lewis have all had phenomenal seasons to this point. Nick Lewis, 3-time A10 Rookie of the Week after he was named it again for his performances last week. And so Ahmad Noel had very much, become 4th in that pecking order. And so to see him have a breakout game, hit it from outside like he did, like I said, made all 5 of his 3-point attempts, is really good. Also had 2 steals. I think the thing that has kept him off the floor, we were just talking about this with Robbie Robinson, has been the ball handling and the turnovers that he had earlier in the season, and that's why he's kind of fallen down in that pecking order, because I've liked what I've seen from him on the defensive end all season, and he can obviously shoot it and score it. Dude's built like a running back. I really like when he gets downhill and takes it to the bodies of opposing defenders. Obviously, it was the outside shooting that shined the most today. Phil, Merry Christmas, man! That was Phil walking out the building. Dude's awesome. And his family's been awesome. And obviously these Christmas, these holiday games, the atmosphere in here is kind of subdued. It's a family game. You don't have a raucous student section and everything. It's not conference played. Phil a couple weeks ago called it the dog days of December a little bit. When you're fighting through this around exams and everything. He mentioned grades for everyone. Nick Lewis has a 4.0. I think he's got 10 guys on the team with a 3.0 or above. So team's doing great stuff in the classroom right now. Other big contributors tonight, Keyshawn Mitchell, 14 points, 10 rebounds, 7 of 8 at the free throw line, 3 of 5 from the field. He was really good. VCU was playing through Lazar Djokovic early on in this game. Djokovic, 5 of 7 from the floor, 13 points, 3 rebounds. He was good early in this game and then kind of sat for long stretches of the second half because Keyshawn was having a good game. And I think this against a Rider team, who is one of the worst teams in the country, I believe, metrics-wise, the worst offensive team in the country. We'll get to that in a second. You wanted a game that some of those guys who've been farther down the bench, can contribute and have a bit of a breakout. So it was great to see that from Ahmad. Who else is in double figures? Terrence Hill, 12 points, 0 of 5 from 3. His worst shooting performance of the season. You're not going to hit 50% from 3 throughout the whole season. He was, regression to the mean. I think he was bound to come back down to earth at some point here. And teams are he's at the top of the scouting report these days in terms of contesting him at the 3-point line. So you're having to see him adjust and attack the cup a little more. 4 of 9 from the floor. So he made every 2-pointer that he attempted. When he attacked the cup, he was able to find space. Teams are just running him off the 3-point line right now. And then who else is in double figures? Like I said, Djokovic with 13. Barry Evans, 8 points, 4 rebounds. Nick Lewis, 8 points. Jordan Tillery, 8 points, 3 rebounds. He got teed up and fouled out. But I still thought an energetic spark of a contribution from Jordan. He's earning more minutes. What did he play tonight? 754. So not that, he didn't play that much, but he's still, he's only 4 over on the plus minus, but his energy obviously continues to affect games. He entered relatively early there in the first half, I want to say. The negatives, obviously people will see 79 points against a Rider team that metrics-wise is the worst offensive team in the country at home. And, for a VCU team that is and program that's used to playing elite level defense, that's frustrating. Rider was 3 of 12 from 3, just 25%. So they didn't even let them get that many of them off. I hated watching their shot selection because they take so many mid-range twos, and I'm very much one of those people. Get to the cup or shoot a 3. because I know that it's a big part of a lot of people's games, but that is one of the worst shots on the floor a lot of the time. Like, contested mid-range twos are not where it's at. Get to the cup or shoot a three. The math says that that's the best way to run your offense. And Ryder took so many mid-range twos, and a lot of them were well contested. They hit them. I asked Phil about that in the post-game presser. The one thing that he said he was frustrated by was the offensive rebounding for Ryder. VCU 35-33 edge on the glass, so that's not great. You'd really like to be able to dominate Ryder on the glass better than that. They had 14 offensive rebounds, leading to a 19-16 edge and second chance points. So that's really, how they were. I mean, they never really hung around in this game. VCU was only up 9 at halftime. It felt a little bit about like the Niagara game to me in that first half, where VCU was sleepwalking a little bit and not really able to gain big separation. But then they figured it out in that second half, as they've done a few times this year. Noel's energy and shooting was huge in that. Like I said, I think Tillery was a big piece of that too. And his competitiveness, even though it resulted in the tee and he ended up fouling out. But then they stretched the lead out to 28. I forget exactly what it was. Was it 96 to, my math, 68? I want to say, off the top of my head, not looking at my notes. And look, the line for this game was 30.5. And I think Ken Pom said VCU was supposed to win by 28. And so at the end of the day, beating Ryder, who's now 1-10 and doesn't have a win over a Division I opponent this year, by 21 at home, that's a loss for VCU in terms of the metrics. It is. They're going to slip a little bit in terms of net and Ken Pom after this, which, I'm not sure is really indicative of the game. I think I heard Phil yell play defense, there in the last few minutes. Because, look, they got up 28 with 4:18 to play. Some subs got on the floor and they got a little complacent. And that's how this got down to just 21. When you had a chance to win it by 30+ and be all right with the metrics, that's frustrating the way the game ended. And so a mixed bag tonight, I would say. But you know what? You get the job done. You're done with non-conference play now. You get to have a little bit of a break here for Christmas. Happy holidays to everyone. And before what's going to be an awesome atmosphere in here for that New Year's Eve game against St. Bonaventure. I'm excited for that. St. Louis coming up early in conference play is going to be great too. And so, like I said, Phil has kind of called it the dog days of December here when you're trying to get through exam time. And they're through it. And they're 9-4. And they don't have a bad loss this year, and you beat this string of teams that you're supposed to beat by wide margins in this stretch. Maybe not as wide as some people would like, but you know what? I think you'll take 9-4. And after the New Mexico loss that took a little bit of air out of the season, feels like they're in a solid place heading into conference play, and a huge game here on New Year's Eve against St. Bonaventure that I'm very excited for. So yeah, I think that's about it, guys. Merry Christmas. As always, thank you so much for following the coverage. Love y'all. The Peppas did the Devil went down to Georgia again tonight, which is phenomenal. And it was quite a funny moment in that second half too, because Brandon Jennings was at the free throw line. I think the crowd was a little disappointed because the Devil went down to Georgia takes a while, and they didn't get a chance to finish it. And when the refs said, "Hey, we got to start play again here," everyone let out a bit of a groan because they wanted to see the performance finish. I think that's about it. There was also one kind of funny moment here at midcourt when during a stoppage right before the under 8, where the Gold Rush dancers and the cheerleaders were out there and everything, and Michael Bell was just kind of standing in the middle of the floor, right in the middle of them. I think he was ready to get the game going, or maybe he's your newest Gold Rush dancer. I don't know. That was a funny moment too. Terrell Ward, 3 minutes and 2 seconds. He didn't score. That's become a narrative too. Everyone had really high expectations for him after transferring from LSU, and he is now low on the rung of the rotation. A lot of people are going to be asking about what's going on with him. I think it's just been on the defensive end. It hasn't been good enough from him. He can obviously shoot it and score it, but he is far down in this rotation right now, which is a surprise relative to the talent that we all know he has and what he's capable of in terms of being a scorer. I think that's about it. Jordan Dumont got on the floor and got a bucket again for the second straight game. So that was cool. He can certainly shoot it. And yeah, that's it, guys. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays to everyone. Love y'all. I'm Zach Joachim. This is On the Horn. VCU 100, Ryder 79, Rams to 9-4. And to conference play we go. I'll see you on New Year's Eve.